Hey there, everybody. This is Mrs. Bashman. We're back again for our tea wash for the Sumie painting that we did yesterday. So here we have the Sumie magnolia flowers on rice paper, and I have my kanji painted up here at the top. And this has had 24 hours to dry, so it's completely dry. I'm not worried about it bleeding. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to have some tea already made. I gave everybody a large tea bag in your bag of supplies, and I brewed this with 1 cup of warm water, and I let it completely cool to room temperature. That's very important. You do not ever want to do this while it's hot or warm, or it's going to make your ink and your paint bleed. So it has to be cooled down. So make sure you make this in preparation. I made it last night. So the first thing after you have your tea ready to go is to flip your paper upside down. So this is right ways. I'm flipping it upside down. The tea wash goes on the back of the paper, not on the front. And just like before, I have some blotting paper below. This is just 2 pieces of newsprint. It's actually the same 2 pieces of newsprint I used last night. But again, you can use newspaper, you can use computer paper, or drawing paper, which I have placed in your supply bag. So you should have something that you can put underneath of it. You're going to use a sponge brush for this because I didn't have enough hake brushes for everyone to take one home. So you're going to use, I don't think I did anyway. If I gave you a hake brush to use, the wide one like this, you can totally do that. If not, you can use the sponge brush that I know I put in your bag. So there's a little bit of dirt on this. I'm going to snip it off. There, okay. So I've got my tea, and I have my paper, and I have my brush. Now, this is very thin paper. It's like tissue paper, so you have to be very gentle, and you only go over it once. You don't want to go back and forth on this. 1, it's going to make the paint bleed. 2, it runs the chance of tearing the paper. And we don't want that to happen. So I dip my brush in my tea, wipe it off so it's not really sopping wet. And I'm going to start by placing my hand down here at the bottom. I'm not going all the way to the bottom of the page yet. And just brushing this over so that I have 1 stroke of tea. And if it's not dark enough the first time, it's fine. We'll go over it once it's dry with a second coat. So you see how I'm skipping where my fingers are, so I keep that 1 little piece dry, and I'm just brushing straight up. And I'm wiping my brush off because I don't want it to be sopping wet. Going straight up for the next row here. And what this is going to do is it's going to give our paper that antique look, and it's going to make that white pop out. It's going to be really pretty. So it makes the rice paper look more like the newsprint paper in the end. I've got 2 more rows of this, and I should be good. So I'm going to put this underneath a fan when I'm done, or you can just leave it. And for this last little bit where my fingers were, just brush over it. Looks like I have everything coated. And already I'm starting to see little bits of white showing up, which looks fantastic. I'm just touching any place that looks like it didn't get a coating on the edge. Everything else looks pretty good. So I'm probably going to do a second coat of this. Once you're done, make sure you rinse your brush out with water. Save your tea because you may want to do another coat. The one thing you do not want to do is try and pick this up, because right now this is wet tissue paper. So you can move it by picking up the whole thing, your blotter paper and your rice paper, and you can put it underneath a fan to dry, or you can just let it sit for an hour or 2, come back, and then you can do a second coat. Do the second coat the exact same way that you did the first coat. You don't want to scrub. You want to be extremely gentle. And you may notice some bleeding through. I don't see any here. Don't do this because I know what I'm doing. Not that you don't know what you're doing, but I don't want you to tear it. Now you can see a little bit. So you may see some bleeding through the paint, and that's okay, but you don't want to see a lot of that. So that's why it's very important for this to be completely dry before you do this. If you have any questions, go ahead and shoot me an email, or you can see me on my Zoom channel every day from 12 to 1. I'm going to go ahead and let this dry. I'm going to do another coat, and then I'm going to do the video to show you how to assemble it into a beautiful wall scroll.